Force, and the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me. So be it, Jedi.
Hello! Welcome back to the Geek News Now Cantina Happy Hour. I am your host, David. We are back on a Thursday night again to discuss Star Wars, any and all things Star Wars. But the big news we have this week is we have the first three, that's right, the first half of the Kenobi series is now in the books. And we have seen each one. We're going to go over all three of those episodes. But first, with me as always is Debbie. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
I missed you on Monday. We didn't get to see you. We didn't have MCU Mondays this past
Monday. Oh, I was going to say, did we have a show and I didn't know it?
No, we had no show. Chris said no show.
I was going to say, oh boy.
Holiday weekend. So we
left me out of the loop, as usual.
Also with me today is Cam. Cam in focus. Cam, you've got a new video out, yeah? 30 second or 60 second.
Yeah,
shot?
yeah. It was a little minute-long review of the new Star Wars novel Brotherhood. It's a Anakin and Obi-Wan story that takes place just after Attack of the Clones, and I go into a little bit of detail about why I thought it was so great. I listened to the audiobook. I thought it was fantastic. The writing was really, really good. Did a lot for the characters. So,
you know, I watched your video, and I've got to say, I was out running around the other day and I was looking for a copy of this book, and I want to go to like Half Price Books or something and find a used copy so I don't have to pay an insane amount, but I do want to read it. Your video has inspired me. I'm going to start reading again.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
And also with us today is Michael. Michael is one of the GNN greats. Look at that. We here at GNN are fueled by the fans, and not only are we fueled by the fans, we put them on our shows. That's right. And you know what? If you want to go and be on the show with us, that's awesome. Go to the GNN Facebook page. Drop me a line. I'm there. I see all this stuff. I'll get you on the show. Trust me. I'll get you here. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I've been looking forward to this like all week. Really get to come here and be a part of it and just talk about Star Wars.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we are 3 episodes in to Kenobi. Just as an overall, you're looking at the first half of the movie. Initially, what are your thoughts? Just a real quick 2-sentence. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever, or oh, it's sucked big ones and we don't like it. What you got, Debbie?
I'm loving it so far. I don't even know if I can come up with 2 sentences, because if I start, then I'm just going to keep on going.
You're just going to keep going.
Yeah, but I'm loving it so far. It's near perfection for me.
Cam?
It's had its ups and downs with me, but it's doing enough to keep me thoroughly engaged.
Better than Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, by a long shot so far.
Better than Mandalorian?
I'd say better than the first half of season 2 of Mandalorian, but season 1 of Mandalorian I still think is top tier.
Okay, all right. Michael, just initial thoughts.
So, like Cam said, it's had its ups and downs for me as well. A lot more ups than downs. I remember when Disney Plus first, what you call it, released, aired, whatever, back in, I think it was like 2019. And like one of the first things they announced was this show. And I didn't even know like when it was supposed to be dropped, and I like immediately just got Disney Plus because I needed to watch this show. And so far, it has been a fantastic show of what happened after Order 66, and I am really sad that this is a limited series.
Okay, so you brought up Order 66, and we had that one scene in the first episode where it was the younglings escaping, and you had the Jedi fighting off the 501st, and she succumbs eventually, and the kids run off, and they're like, "Oh, quick, we've got to hide." One, who was waiting for a Grogu cameo right there, because I know I sure as crap was. But two, I would. What was the what do these kids have to do with the rest of the story? These are questions that are burning through my mind. What
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well,
Really?
as
Reva.
we've seen,
Reva.
as
How do we pronounce her name?
The third sister.
Yes.
Yeah, she. I don't think it was confirmed yet, but like the very first youngling you see in that shot is a young black girl, and it kind of hints that might be the third sister.
So nothing is confirmed yet.
No, not that I'm aware of.
But
Anyway,
why? Why would you focus on her twice? Not only in that opening scene, but when the master falls and the kids are all gathered, and they're like, "What do we do now?" They focus on her, and she says, "I don't even know what she says. Let's run or go hide or whatever." There's a reason to that.
I was so ready for them, one, to either find Grogu and everybody run off with Grogu, or them start running down the hallway like they're getting away, and then there's Anakin standing there with his lightsaber drawn, and I'm just like, oh, it's about to get ugly.
Well, I think at some point before the series is over, I think we're going to get an extension of that scene, especially if that character is the third sister. I think, they're kind of building her up to be the main antagonist of this particular series, and I'm sure there's going to be like a flashback sequence, and we're going to get some explanation as to her backstory and stuff. So I think I don't think that's the last that we've seen of that scene.
I was gonna say they're gonna. I'm thinking that because it was just, to me, it just seemed like okay, we've got Order 66 going on, and then it just kind of like, okay, we're running away. Great, what happened? Why is this scene necessary? And I'm thinking like you, Pam. I think it's gonna jump in and say, hey, there's something important about this, and we'll show you later on. So, and if it is what's her name, then great, more power to you. But
nah, they're just a troupe of Monty Python and the Holy Grail reenactors. They just hadn't started yet.
One thing that I really liked about that opening scene was it kind of showed the prowess of some Jedi, because like if you watch Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, I should say, when Order 66 happens, it just kind of you have all of these like super powerful Jedi, Jedi who are on the council, and they legitimately just get mowed down in like 2 seconds. I mean, some of them manage to block a few blaster bolts or whatever, and this opening where able to hold them off for a while and doesn't die until she just gets overwhelmed. I really liked that show of like, not all of the Jedi were incompetent, because that scene from Revenge of the Sith really, Jedi were just incompetent, like they were killed by a bunch of clones, and
well, and to add to that, and just because the 3 Jedi that you saw that were killed in Revenge of the Sith, if you watch them, they were all literally shot in the back. I mean, they had no idea that it was coming.
True.
Even Plo Koon, flying his Jedi starfighter, was shot from behind. He had no idea.
True. You did have like I think the one exception was Ki-Adi-Mundi. He did manage to like block a few bolts before he was overwhelmed, but should have shown a lot more of them like resisting and then getting overwhelmed.
But then also too, you had.
I just feel like the ranking master should have been able to sense that a little bit more clearly, like something was off.
But and two, you've got to look at it too, and this was the other one. This one was one of the ones that fought back. It was I can't think of the characters. It's Jet Lucas. It's George's kid. When he's when
yeah.
when he lands and he goes, what's happening? You got to leave. Blah, blah,
Bail
blah.
Organa. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then he jumps out and he takes out 3 or 4 of them before they finally get him. So
all these high-ranking Jedi masters get smoked in like 3 seconds, and then this young Padawan comes in and takes out a bunch of clones. It just, the scales were not really balanced for me with that, and so I was just really glad to see a little bit of that cool we'll just
shift
call
of perspective.
Yeah.
You also got to figure too. I mean, like, yeah, these Jedi are competent, but like, whenever your lightsaber is a finite line, and you have 5 or 6, special, soldiers, and granted that this is the 501st. They're not just your run of the mill clones. These guys are the best of the best. When you have 5 or 6 marksmen mowing you down, how many are you gonna block before at least one gets through?
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I'm just saying, in the movie, I feel like they just kind of skimmed over Order 66 and just made the deaths super quick. And just
it could have been better if it wasn't like just a montage.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at.
It looks like we have Chris online commenting. Keepers of the peace, not soldiers. Bunches of them die on Geonosis too, just from overwhelming numbers. He also says it was also more of a surprise for the Jedi around the galaxy where they get new orders. They don't think malicious intent. They just follow orders. So no warning of dark side intentions like anger, hatred, etc.
That is a good point. I'd never really thought of it that way. It's a very good.
And I think too with the Jedi Temple, at least they. At some point in the Jedi Temple, I'm sure that they would have said, hey, we're starting to lose Jedi, and they're all falling fast. And it sounds like it's the clones turning on them, and then all of a sudden you see somebody marching up with the 501st marching into the temple. They've at least got some time to prepare, to say, okay, we got to get ready because the fight's coming to us, and we got to go. So
yeah.
So to sit there and say the field officers get mowed down quick, and then the temple people survive a little bit longer. That just from a military standpoint, that's the way it looks. Is that they knew it was coming, and so they had time to set up and at least try and defend themselves.
They're like Batman. They need prep time.
Okay, so Kenobi. Let's talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, because I had a friend of mine, and Luan, if you're watching, this one's for you, buddy. But he called me. Let's see, they aired on Friday. He called me on Saturday and said, "What is going on?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm watching Kenobi. I watched the first episode. Why is he so defeated? Why is he's like completely down in the dumps?" And I'm like, he was defeated.
Oh my God.
He lost. Of course.
We're talking PTSD, guilt.
Yep.
The fact that he failed Anakin, or he felt that he failed Anakin. He lost Anakin, or he thought he did.
Well, he thought he lost, but not only did he think he lose, but he had a whole lot to do with losing Anakin.
Yeah, I mean there is a lot going on with Kenobi. I mean, and he's had a lot of he lost Satine. Shoot, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, he's gone through a lot, and that final battle with Anakin was just, the cherry on top. I mean, that was just pushed him over.
Yeah.
Because he had to kill his best friend, his brother, his comrade. He didn't even want to. He wanted to go against the Emperor, but Yoda said, "No, you have to go against Anakin."
He said, "Don't send me. Send me to the Emperor."
Yeah, he didn't even want to do it. So, yeah, I mean, wouldn't you be beaten down to a pulp?
Yeah, well, watching your best friend turn into a s'more before your eyes kind of does things to you.
And knowing that you caused it too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he caught on fire because he had no arms and legs, and he had no arms and legs because Kenobi cut them off.
To be fair, he did say don't try it.
He warned him.
He warned
I told you so.
Yeah. But I really liked in the very very beginning of the first episode of Kenobi where they did that whole like
recap.
That recap of the prequel trilogy, and like I'm just sitting here thinking like I love the prequel trilogy. I grew up on the prequel trilogy, but I was just thinking as I'm watching this, how much cooler would this prequel trilogy have been if like the people who edited this montage or recap, whatever, would have been the editors in charge of doing the prequel trilogy. And I was just like, man, just think of what could have been.
They really hit the high points from each of the movies.
Right.
And I'm sitting there watching it with Luke, and we watched through that whole, and when that montage ended, I hit pause and I was like, did you notice how they had a lot of stuff from the Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith, but not a whole lot from Attack of the Clones? I mean, if the entire opening montage was like, let's say 5 minutes long, they spent 2 minutes on Sith, 2 minutes on Menace, and just one little tiny minute on it.
It was 30 seconds on Attack of the Clones. The rest were the credits.
Yeah,
or the opening title.
I think the montage or recap was basically showing Anakin and Obi's journey, what they've gone through. And in Attack of the Clones, they were apart the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So that would be another reason why.
Okay, fine. Makes sense, Debbie.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The only time they're together is at the Battle of Genesis. Or
it wasn't necessarily about recapping the prequels so much as recapping their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And also, there is no Attack of the Clones in Ba Sing Se. Did that joke go over everybody's head?
Yeah, I think it might have.
It's a Last Airbender meme.
Oh, never watched
okay.
it.
Oh,
gotcha.
Okay.
I haven't watched the series. I've never watched the series in its entirety, but yeah, I don't know enough about it to catch on the references like that.
You know what? Okay. I haven't. It still flew over my head. So
and everything goes over my head. So.
So anyway, so we get the montage. We look at Kenobi's life now, and it's just very
depressing,
mundane. That was exactly what I was thinking. To where, in fact, there have been several mornings, especially this week. This week has really been brutal for me, but where it's just like, wake up, get dressed, go to work, come back home, sit down, and watch TV, and then go to bed. And Obi-Wan was just like that, cut meat, save a little bit, stuff it down your shirt, clock out. Oh, clocking out. Okay.
Gonk.
Yes, the gonk when they signed out, and the one guy says, come on, man, I got a family to feed and all this other stuff. They finally got a Star Wars character with a Southern accent, and by God, I was happy about it. What do you want to do about it? I was like, it's the Alabama. Oh, I was so excited. I was like, yes, finally. You got all these British accents and Northeastern accents, but it's about time we got somebody from the South down there.
How tickled would you be if, with the release of like the visual dictionary of the series or something like that, because that's going to happen. That they're naming all these background characters, and that one character is named like Alabama.
His name's like Boba Fett, not Boba Fett, Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. I love it.
Louisiana.
Yeah. Yes.
Louisiana.
Yeah, I think the purpose of showing that sequence where he just, I mean, that's just showing he had to keep a low profile. He
He was doing
resisted interfering with anything because easily he could have
well, and
stepped in, but you
and
know,
that led credence to when we see the Inquisitors for the first time, and they go into that bar or cantina or whatever, and they're saying we're looking for a Jedi, and this Jedi's been helping you out, and they're interrogating everybody basically, and that's just the Jedi way. Jedi will always do this, and how hard it was for Obi-Wan to fight that temptation to say, okay, I'm the good guy here. I need to stay under wraps.
Well, and that too kind of goes into what happens in episode 3. I mean, we'll get there when we get there, but it kind of ties in with that as well.
and also his, to add to his depression and whatnot. I would assume when you cut yourself off from the Force completely, that has to have some kind of effect on you.
Maybe this is going to explain why Luke was like he was in The Last Jedi, and then everybody will think different of him.
Had he cut himself off from the Force though?
He did.
Too.
It was mentioned.
Okay.
In the Kenobi series, I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why the Inquisitors couldn't find him, because he was closed off. That's why they were looking for this Nari Jedi, because he was helping people. He was whipping out his lightsaber and being a dumbass.
Right.
Can't be whipping your lightsaber out in public.
That's right.
Now, okay, so we get the Inquisitors. This is I believe this is the first time we've seen them live action. Every other time has been in Rebels or video game Fallen Order. What are your thoughts on these 3 Inquisitors that we have right now? We got the Grand. We've got the she's the third sister.
Third sister and the fifth brother. Yeah.
Fifth brother. Yeah.
Well, I was a little skeptical at first of the Grand Inquisitor because I felt like he didn't quite have the look. He didn't look like an Utapawan to me. But I warmed up to him. You know, the more that I saw him. Rupert Friend does a great Jason Isaacs impression. He really convinced me that he was, you know, really embodying that character. Riva, I mean, you know, I'm sure we'll be talking more about her, so I'm not going to, you know, dive too deep into that. The fifth brother, I like him more in this than I liked him in Rebels. I just wish that they would really find something to do with his character. I mean, because as it is right now, he's kind of just there, and he's acting more as the foil to the third sister than anything else. So I'm hoping that they expand more, not expand more on him, not necessarily story wise, but character wise. Just give him more to do.
Now was that character? And I haven't watched Rebels in a long time. Was that character actually in Rebels?
Yes.
Yeah, he was killed in Rebels.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah. He and the seventh sister were in season 2 of Rebels. They were both killed by Maul.
Okay, I was thinking that. I just wanted to. I've got a Lego minifigure around here somewhere, so I just wanted to make sure I'm still good. Oh, well, I'll get to that. That's episode 3. We'll deal with episode 3 when we get there. I thought of something else. I was talking about Legos, and I'm like, oh, there was something else there too. We'll hold on to that. So what about Moses Ingram? Because apparently she's getting a ton of flack online. And I mean, it's the same stupid thing that happened with Rose McGowan, that happened with who was it?
Kelly Marie Tran.
Yeah, Kelly Marie Tran, and I think Daisy Ridley and possibly even Felicity Jones were getting some flack about their characters. Initially, when I saw this character, the sister, I was like, I don't like this. I think it's over the top and it's overdone, and I'm not a fan. But then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? She's the bad guy. I'm supposed to not like her. She is actually pulling this off, and me not even realizing it. I'm thinking that it's just me because she's so over the top, and then I'm looking at it going, no, she's making me hate this character, and I'm supposed
Yeah.
to. She's the bad guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
her
I
being over the
don't.
top and super dramatic is kind of the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
without me even knowing it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's brilliant.
yeah, I don't have a problem with her character. I mean, a lot of people, coming down on her acting, overacting or whatever. But the thing is, she's obsessed. How else would you expect an obsessed person to act? Now, we don't know exactly why. I have my theories, but I'm thinking she's pissed at Obi-Wan because, he sent that message out and, told all the Jedi not to come back, and she was left to fend for herself. She probably watched all of her friends die that was with her in that little group. So, yeah, I mean, how is that any different from Maul being obsessed with Kenobi?
Yeah.
It's
Kenobi
I mean,
he seems to piss a lot of people off, and they get obsessed with him.
Yeah, I mean, like as an actor, there's really, yeah, I mean, there's two ways that you can pull off obsession. You could do what she does and be a little over the top, be a little in your face, or you can be like, Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs. Oh, was she a great big fat person?
Hey, Grant. Grant's a good friend of the show. Hello from Scotland. Well, no, you're in Scotland. And yes, you're absolutely right. She is rocking the role.
Well, and I feel like that, and this is my prediction for her character. I feel like there's a lot more going on with her than what we've seen so far, and that we already know she's trying to get closer to Vader, but I think a lot of us are assuming it's because she wants power, and I think it's because she wants a shot at killing Vader. Because did anybody else find it weird Vader was in Skywalker? Because that kind of threw me for a second, because I know that wasn't like common knowledge.
but the thing is, her power is reading people's minds.
Yeah, she did the Kylo Ren thing to the fake guy in episode 2. Yeah, no, I mean, there is that too. So she could have found out through that means, and then realized what Anakin did by turning, and so maybe she's just trying to get closer to Vader to try and take him out, and then maybe replace him, or maybe even try to go, maybe her ambition is to take out the Emperor as well. But I definitely feel like there's more going on with her character than what we've seen so far.
Now we can come to the real star of the show. It's not Kenobi.
The Gonk Droid.
It's baby Leia.
And see, okay, Debbie, I want you to back me up on this, because I think I said like 2 weeks ago, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing Leia just in a cameo, and maybe even Jimmy Smits just kind of as a, they walk past the camera and they wave at Kenobi or something dumb like that. I mean, just a little 2-second, oh, look, there they are. Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Holy smoke, she's the friggin' star of this show.
People have complained about her too.
Oh, forget them. They don't know.
I'm just
good.
Like, she's acting like not only a grown-up Leia, but also Padme.
Yeah.
I did like that, and I'm actually really glad that they've gone with having more Leia time than Luke, because really, I think everybody thought that this was going to be all about like Obi-Wan watching over Luke, and so far, and like maybe get a Leia cameo, and so far it's been right opposite. And I'm kind of
we know what happens to Luke.
Tatooine,
exactly. So I'm glad that they decided to go Leia thing, because number one, I really like the fact that to me that gives them some sort of rapport, so that by the time A New Hope comes around, I know I've read people say that it retcons A New Hope or whatever, but I feel like it shows some familiarity there, and then it would give Leia the know-how of, hey, I should contact Obi-Wan Kenobi because, I know he's going to be able to help, other than just, you serve my father in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at the same time, at the end of Rogue One, Obi-Wan was who Bail Organa sent her specifically to find. It kind of gives us that connective tissue there, because Obi-Wan's not just important to him; he's important to her too. So,
Right.
Well, go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say I'm not like huge on the fact that the story is going the route of the gruff fatherly figure having to watch over a young powerful person.
Grandfatherly, maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
I
feel like that's a story that's kind of been done to death, not just in Star Wars, but across a lot of other films and franchises over the last few years. And I feel like the formula is kind of tired at this point, but I'm glad that the writers are kind of doing a lot to keep the idea fresh and keep us guessing in the end.
Something that somebody said was in the comments was that the chase scene was unprecedentedly like ridiculous,
okay,
silly.
Steph,
Yeah,
is this the chase scene where she's being kidnapped?
I
In the
think so.
woods.
In the woods, yeah. Because I remember I watched that episode like 2 or 3 times. I just remember thinking this is some like, Three Stooges looking.
Yeah, those guys
stuff.
were completely incompetent. How they
It's like
got her, I have no
it's like
idea.
it's like I get it. It's supposed to be drawn out or whatever, but it's like, wouldn't it be more realistic that as the main guy is talking to Leia before she knows she's in, sneak up behind, grab her, like how incompetent are these guys?
Yeah. As they're running through the woods, all I'm hearing in my head is
yes.
Benny
I
Hill
don't.
theme.
You know what? I just kept waiting for him to say, "What's the matter, McFly? Chicken?" And I was like, I saw him and I was like, I know that guy, and I told Luke, I was like, I think that's Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he goes, who? And I said, well, he knows who the Chili Peppers are, but he was like, I was like, yeah, he's a bassist for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was in Back to the Future 2 and 3. Oh, yeah, I think that is him. We went and looked it up like after the show was over. Yeah, sure enough, that's him.
Yeah, I was. Go ahead, Debbie. Sorry.
I could forgive the chase scene with Obi-Wan chasing her because he's trying not to attract attention. Right. So I can forgive that chase scene. But man, the one in the woods, that was pretty bad.
Yeah, every time, as you're watching it, every time it looks like they're catching up to her, the camera cuts away to a different angle. And it shows them further back,
and all of a sudden she's like a quarter of a mile ahead of them.
Yeah, exactly. And then the one just like runs into that tree branch. He had a good second and a half to see that. Gunk.
And he had plenty of room to go under, so I don't know.
Oh yeah,
it was like he stood on his tiptoes to hit the branch.
Maybe she was using Speed Force or something. I don't know.
What is she the Flash now?
Yeah.
No, well, it's like in those old Pokemon games where you come across some tall grass that you can't go around. It's like, oh well, no, I have to wait until I can get something to cut this with. I can't walk through this grass.
Yeah.
I also love how, and I don't know if she's using the Force when she does this, how intuitive she is.
Oh yeah,
for a 10-year-old, because she knows.
Yeah.
She, like her cousin, she pretty much put him in his place.
That scene, the whole time I'm watching it and I'm just listening to her, I'm just sitting there on my couch going, no, like she straight up
does it several times. And so I'm thinking, and I think the books have hit upon this a few times where she kind of knows, especially in the Senate, she kind of knows,
Yeah, I feel like that
where
might be like
people
a
stand, what they're thinking, or I mean, I'm
right.
not saying she's used,
It may be like
invading
a passive.
lines.
It might be like a passive force
Yeah.
ability or something. Like she's just very intuitive. The force allows her to be a lot more intuitive than the average person.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what it does to really anybody that's force sensitive. It's not just about intuitive, but like in the case of Ray, for example, whenever you spend your entire life as a survivor and you don't have any support, you're gonna unconsciously use the force for things like physical augmentation, things of that nature. So that,
Right.
there's a lot to be said about instinctual use of the force.
Oh yeah.
So, Leia gets kidnapped. They run off planet, and we're coming to the end of the first episode, and you've got Jimmy Smits like personally coming to plead with Obi-Wan, please, you got to go find her. They were headed here. Now,
One thing I kind of want to say before we get that far into the episode, so I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
I really loved the scene where it was like right after she had basically told her cousin where to stick it, and her parents are like, or her mother more is like scolding her or whatever, and then she gets that alone time with
Daddy.
And that just, I don't know, that moment where he like gets down on one knee, gets down to her level, and just like looks her in the eye and says, you are an Organa wholeheartedly, like 100%, and just like, because she's like, oh, I'm not even a real Organa, and he gets down to her level and says, don't ever say that. And like, I'm adopted, so that really like touched me in a very personal sense, and I just really enjoyed that portrayal of that loving father. She's not just some adopted kid that they just got because they needed to hide the kids or whatever. Like you could see that they truly love their daughter, and it was that was just one of those like heartfelt moments that I think they nailed on the head. They hit the nail on the head just perfectly.
Definitely.
Oh, and one other thing while we're still on Leia, her robot. Did anybody else catch her robot? That was an Easter egg. If it wasn't, I'll eat my shorts. But
For Fallen Order, or
no.
What?
Go back and watch the movie. It was an old '80s movie called Batteries Not Included, with Jessica Tandy and
I've seen that long time.
Yeah. So the robots, there's like space robots that come down, and they have little legs that look exactly like that, and they fly just like this other little robot. So I was looking at it this whole time, going, it's the Batteries Not Included robots. I was excited, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. Whatever.
Could be something there.
Just you, Dave.
I just like seeing things like that. I'm like, oh look, it's another prop. It's the same one from that movie that I watched many years ago. So anyway, so we're watching Kenobi. Jimmy Smits comes. We get the please go help her. She's going to this. Blah blah blah. And as I'm watching this the second time, it did never click with me, but the second time it did, and I caught it. Obi-Wan is on a hero's journey right now.
Yeah.
He is the reluctant hero. You had the same thing with Luke, where I want to get out and do something, but when the time comes, it's like, no, I can't leave my safe zone, my comfort zone, because this is where I am. And then something happens to where he's forced into that hero's journey. He's forced into that thing. And as we'll see, John, I guess this is for my robot comment. Anyway, but as and we'll see as he's thrust into that, because it's the same thing. You've got to go through trials and tribulations, and obviously Obi-Wan is, as the series has moved on, he's going through those trials and those tribulations, and there's a lot of stuff happening that's not really good for him, but not really bad. I mean, they're building his character, but him trying to stay underground is.
It's made him very gruffy and not. Well, especially with Leia, he tends to lose his patience quite quickly, but then he'll recover and be like the Obi-Wan that we know. But he tends to lose his patience with her. I mean, he lost his patience with Anakin a few times, but usually he would, he's a negotiator, so he would find ways. He's not doing that very well right now.
Well, I'm sure in a lot of ways, she reminds him of Anakin. So I think that him losing his temper easily with her is due in part to that. Not just the fact that she's a kid and kids are wild, but and also when you get it's been 10 years since then, and when you get so used to living life in a state of just constant, perpetual, just numb, whatever you want to call the way he lives. I mean, you're not going to have much of a shell to crack.
So I'm getting ready to transition to episode 2, but before I do, we missed something completely that was like possibly one of the greatest scenes in this first episode, and that was when Owen confronted Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Gave him the model back and said, just stay out of our lives. We don't need any of this. You had the famous burn that's all over the place. He's going to have to be trained. Yeah, like you trained his father. Good luck. So
that's what I found that very interesting, the way that Owen kind of like almost resents Obi-Wan for the loss of Anakin, which I'm hoping that which is why, you were talking about that book earlier, and you said about, it kind of shows like the mental states of like the different people. Right? And that's why I would really love to see like what the actual relationship was between Owen Lars and Anakin Skywalker, because they didn't grow up together. They didn't, they didn't know each other before episode 2. And then they basically, as far as we know, never had contact again.
Yeah. I don't think there was much there relationship-wise outside of when Anakin was there. It's not like Anakin, I mean, after his mother died, there was no reason for him really to go back to Tatooine. So,
right.
I
was saying, not that right after the Clone started, and so he was immediately rushed off into a war.
And even in the Clone Wars TV
legally,
show,
but
even in the Clone Wars TV show, it was never mentioned that he went back to visit Owen or build some kind of relationship with Owen.
Right. So it's very interesting to see Owen get like visibly upset over the mention over like the thought of Luke training to be a Jedi, because really, what was the connection between him and Anakin?
Well, I don't think it was so much about the connection between him and Anakin. I think it was more that Owen didn't want Luke to be trained as a Jedi because he knew what that training led Anakin to become, and so I feel like there's not just the resentment there, but it's more a fear of what could be.
Yeah. I'm also interested to see if they expound upon, because right after he confronts Obi-Wan, and then he gets confronted by the third sister and basically has him and his family's lives threatened. Or, if somebody doesn't give up the Jedi. And he has no idea that they're not talking about Obi-Wan. And so he doesn't give him up. And then Obi-Wan comes out and he says, thank you, Owen. And he says, I didn't. And that's interesting, because if he didn't for him, who did he do it for?
Luke?
Yeah, but he already said that he doesn't want Obi-Wan around Luke.
But the thing is, if he would have said something about Obi-Wan being there, the Inquisitors would have killed all of them.
They would have killed him anyway.
That is true too. I didn't even think about that.
And
yeah, just for the fact that they were associated. I mean,
and
not that they were hiding him, but just that he knew.
Right.
Well, and especially too, let's think about this. That third sister knew who Darth Vader was. She knew his name. And if she found out that Luke Skywalker is on
Ooh.
Tatooine, that gives her leverage over Vader. Hey, here's your kid. I found him. I didn't do it
Yeah.
for you. I did it to protect everybody.
The season's not over with.
Yeah. This is, I mean, this is kind of a detraction from, you know, the main topic here, but I just want to say it because because it's, I don't know. I really like the way that Ewan McGregor is playing Obi-Wan here. Yeah, he really does play the traumatized, I guess, war veteran, you would say, very, very well. But there are two moments, two lines that he says throughout the first episode that really, I don't know why, I don't know how, but they really like just hit me. The first one was whenever he woke up from the nightmare, and he's all alone in his dark cave, and he sits up and he just softly says, "Master." I don't know why. Just the way he delivered that one word, it made him feel so small and so meek. And then the camera cuts away to a big wide shot of him just alone in that dark cave, and it really, really emphasizes how isolated and just alone he is. And the second one was whenever Owen goes to confront him, and he throws that model down on the floor and breaks it. Whenever he bends down and says, "It's just a toy." The way he says it, I mean, you can hear heartbreak in his voice. It's like, oh well, damn! I just got that for your kid, and you just destroyed it. Like,
I just
I
paid
don't know.
50. I just paid 50 credits for that thing.
Yeah, it's the way, like, so some of the lines that he delivers. I mean, like, I don't know what it is about Ewan McGregor, but he really, really sells it.
Oh yeah, and I told a friend of mine who has not watched it yet. I told him, I was like, dude, get on this. You're gonna want to watch this. And I told him, I said, if you Ewan McGregor was like S tier actor, watch Obi-Wan Kenobi, because it really shows he's really given the chance to shine in this role. And I think it's because it's a character that he's, you know, very passionate about, and just really he really puts his like his whole being into this character. And you know, he's trying to get that be in that transitional phase from, you know, Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan Kenobi to Alec Guinness A New Hope Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I think he's kind of putting all of the, like, the trauma that happened throughout the prequel trilogy, just, you know, going through a war, watching your comrades die, you know, growing close to these clones who then betray you, and then to ultimately lose the person who you considered to be your brother to, you know, anger and hatred, and to have him kill another good friend of yours who was his wife carrying his like, you could see how all of that would pile up. And he's just all of that through the way he talks, nuances, his body language. It's just very good. It's excellent, and I'm here for it.
All right.
Cool.
I got to get up and feed my dog, so I'm going to get off camera real quick, but I'll still be listening.
Okay. So now we move into episode 2. Obi-Wan's looking for Leia. We get one of the great cameos of the series so far. We get oh my god, I can't even think of his name now.
Tamora Morrison.
Thank you, Tamora Morrison. Old grizzled clone trooper begging for money. I'm sure that. I'm sorry.
I was just saying that was really wondered second if that was going to be like Rex.
See, and I'm sure that there are people online that have looked at his helmet and said, "Oh, well, this is TK43569, and we know that
right,
because the markings on his helmet, and he's from the this." I mean, I'm not that hardcore. Come on. But holy smokes, I'm sure there's somebody out there that's identified this clone already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's been debunked because the internet went wild. First they were saying it was Cody. I was like, no, wrong color.
Wrong.
And
yeah.
then they were saying it was Rex, and I'm like, I couldn't see any markings on the helmet at all. Plus it was kind of dark, but
Well,
Plus,
not to mention, if we go off of the Clone Wars series, when Disney came back and finished it with season 7, if I remember right, I believe Rex actually leaves his marked helmet there at the crash site.
I think that was an
maybe.
orange helmet.
I was gonna say I don't think so.
Like where they it for like a Ahsoka or whatever. Yeah, you're right.
No, because I think he had it again in Rebels when they went to go find that group of clones on the ATTE. I believe he had it in Rebels.
Ooh, did we just find out? Did we or a plot? Could be.
So anyway, awesome cameo. He goes to this Jedi, the comic relief of this series thus far. He goes to this Jedi and this thank you. This Jedi.
Fake Jedi.
But you know what though? I mean, it was the way it was done was so good. He walks into the room and he goes, and the windows all close, and he sits down and he's talking to somebody. I'm entering your mind. I'm using a Jedi mind trick.
I'm like,
what are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I don't think this guy's legit.
It was so obvious, but then you got to think a lot of these people haven't seen a Jedi in eons because supposedly they're, all purged out and everything. So,
Well,
yeah,
a lot of these people haven't seen a Jedi, period. Like, you figure in a galaxy of trillions, like literal trillions of people, 10,000 Jedi is like, what, 0.001% of the entire population. It's like, how often are you going to come across that?
Right.
I mean, for most civilized planets, Jedi were just like, figures of myth and legend.
Myth and legend, yeah.
Now, and the fact that he wore his lightsaber just right out in the open, it's like, okay, Jedi usually don't do that. So.
And so help me God, I mentioned this to Luke. All through this series, I've watched Obi-Wan, and I'm like, for a guy who is trying to remain undercover and out of the limelight and everything else, he sure does dress like a Jedi for like the entire time. You notice this? He's got the hood on and the robe, and I'm like, he looks like a Jedi. Why is he doing that?
Like the end of episode 1 where he like goes to get on the transporter or whatever, and he goes and gives the lady his like ticket or whatever it was, and then he like sweeps his robe back and you can clearly see his lightsaber. I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
what are you doing?
It's a wink to the audience, but I mean, if that happened in real life, there'll be like alarms going off, the cops will be called.
But speaking of that lightsaber, did you notice that he did not use his lightsaber until episode 3? He had it with him, and there were several times he needed to use, or no, let me take that back. There were several times he very easily could have used it.
Should have used it.
Well,
that would have drawn attention.
If he should have used it, then he wouldn't have gotten away the way that he did.
Yeah.
I mean, there's several times he could have used the Force too, but he never did.
I keep waiting for the mind trick. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
This isn't the kid you're looking for.
So he rescues Leia. They're running around. We get a lot of in this second episode. We get a lot of relationship building in between Leia and Obi-Wan. She's learning to trust him. He's trying to tell her things without telling her everything. And in the same token, he's ducking the authorities, or in the same time, he's ducking the authorities. So.
But she knows he's hiding something and lying to her.
Yeah, she's constantly like, "What are you like? You're lying to me about something." And like in the second episode, it was like, "Oh, are you really a Jedi?" Like, and then she runs away from him and stuff. And
Make me float.
yeah, he made her float. He made her float. So hey,
somebody put the meme out there, and it was her. And it said, "I want to float, make me float." And then it flashed to the scene from The Last Jedi where she's Mary Poppinsing herself back to the ship. Like, ha ha! She wanted to float. She got it.
that's fantastic.
So anyway, we get a lot of. He saves her life. I think that did a lot to build the relationship between the two of them. He makes her float.
Yeah,
because she doesn't hit the ground.
And that's the first time he uses the Force.
It is the first time,
and he struggled.
And
oh yeah,
it's funny that you mentioned that too, because you see at the end of The Rise of Skywalker where Rey goes into the desert and she buries Luke and Leia's lightsaber in the desert, and she does this thing and the sand just kind of swallows it up and makes it go away. Whereas he went out there and actually physically dug his hole to where those two lightsabers were his and Anakin's lightsabers were.
yeah.
And him physically digging that hole, to me, lent credence to the fact that maybe he had cut himself off from the Force.
But how did he know where they were? That was my question. You're in a desert. You're on a desert planet. They have sandstorms all the time.
Because the kyber crystals are essentially almost sentient beings in their own right. A Jedi, and see, this is another thing that I'm thankful to the Brotherhood novel for clarifying. A Jedi can always feel the presence of his or her kyber crystal.
So there you go. Yeah, it's in the extracurricular text.
Yeah. You got to read this book. That's an adaptation of this book, and this book with this appendix right here that you have to check. But it's there.
It's a lot like writing a college term paper.
Yeah, bad memories. A
meme the other day. It was like Marvel fans in $21.99 having to watch 362 movies and 5 TV shows to understand what's going on in the latest movie. And it's like, it's kind of what's happening with Star Wars too, is like, oh, in order, you have to like read all these books and read the comics and see all the TV shows in order to understand. Like, could you imagine somebody who's never watched Rebels or never seen anything to do with Rebels coming into Kenobi and being like, who are these Inquisitor people? Like, these inquisiting people, as Leia put it.
Inquisiting people.
And yeah, I mean, I think the Inquisitors stand alone. They're very much like Darth Vader. When Darth Vader first walked on to the Tantive 4 in A New Hope, you looked at Darth Vader and go, that is the bad guy. He just looks like the bad guy, so he's got to be the bad guy. And I think these Inquisitors are kind of the same way, to where it's like you've got they're all in black and they've got the red lightsabers and the clip to their back, and it's like, oh, these are the bad guys. Now, as to what they do, yes, Rebels would clear that up a lot more. They're hunting Jedi basically, but I think it does mention it in the first episode. Hey, these are Inquisitors and they hunt Jedi. That's really what it boils down to.
And I also wanted to bring up when the Grand Inquisitor confronts Reva after she sent out the bounty behind his back for Obi-Wan, and the line he says something to the fact of, you're lower than us. We found you in a gutter, which makes me believe that she's the youngling that they showed in episode 1, because maybe she escaped living on the streets, because if they would have caught her right there in the temple, they would have just
dog meat.
Well, they would have just, broke her and turned her into an Inquisitor, because that's what they did with most of the younglings. So the fact that she was probably
except for the ones that Anakin got to.
She probably escaped. Maybe she was down on level 1313, who knows, in the gutter, just trying to survive. And, that's how they found her. My theory.
We'll see. We got
Not that means anything.
No, we got 3 episodes left for them to try and explain all of this. Although we've really only got 2 episodes left because I've got a feeling that one of the 3 remaining episodes is going to be strictly focused on the Mandalorian.
Oh, for God's sake!
I don't know why and I don't know how, but it'll be him about how he got the Razor Crest. How's that? How he acquired it. Just kidding.
I don't wanna.
Just kidding, folks. Joke here.
John Ambrose said those aren't magnets is a golden line, and I have to agree with that. Just that moment where he gets like pushed up against the wall and he's like, those aren't magnets. Like, it's like, yeah, this is legit, bro.
And she even says, "You're not a Jedi." Oh, yes, I am. No,
Yeah,
you're not.
he's like trying to be smooth about it. He's like, I am the only Jedi here, and she's like, just go, just shut up.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show that your average Joe Blow knows nothing about.
Well, and she even said when she threw him up against the wall, she goes, "You're not a Jedi, but you've seen one." She got that inspiration, like, "Oh my gosh, you've seen one. You know where he is."
Yeah.
Oh, and then he's like, "I'm not gonna talk." "Oh, I don't need you to talk." And
Yeah.
when she said that, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna Kylo Ren him." That's exactly what she's gonna do.
Oh yeah.
So
and I don't know why I really liked her, like the way she does it better than Kylo, because like I feel like when Kylo does it, he looks like and maybe it's because he struggles more with it because he had that fight with light and dark within him and whatever. But he always just looks constipated whenever he's doing it. He's like
it's always forced.
But it's like his face is like straining, and she's just like very like it's very like maniacal, like malicious. She's just like she is very like easy and just like.
Well, I mean, to
menacing.
To be fair, one of the 2 times that we saw him do it in The Force Awakens, Rey was fighting back. So
that is true.
That would be a bit of a strain.
That is true.
So she finds Kenobi. Was it here that the Grand Inquisitor showed up and said
in the cargo port?
Yeah. Said, step down, we'll take care of this. And then the Grand Inquisitor seems to have met his fate.
Or did he?
Did he?
So fun fact.
Okay, go ahead.
His species actually has 2 stomachs.
Okay.
So
and he was stabbed.
He could be now. He could be out of commission for the rest of the show, if not the entire, or like if for like the majority of the show, if not the entirety of the show. We could see him kind of like come back at the end or whatever, just to say like, hey, he's alive. So we didn't retcon Rebels, but I do think that he's going to be out of commission for a while. If he comes back in like episode 4, I would be very shocked.
Well, and there's a lot of. Go ahead, Denny.
Well, because I looked at IMDb or IMDb or whatever it's called, and it has him down for 6 episodes, and it's like, okay, no.
Well, he wasn't in this past one, so
yeah, but people complained about his look, and he has a pumpkin head. It's very round. The actual actor, his head's not like that. He's very thin-faced. So I'm wondering if maybe his time in the back to tank or wherever they end up saving him, I don't know, maybe he loses a lot of weight and he gets that. I mean, he's not going to have the elongated head like on Rebels, but maybe his face will be a little bit more thinner to kind of fit into that, maybe.
My theory. Could be. Yeah, you're right, John. Hang on a minute. I'll get you up there. He looked like Billy Corgan. I'll buy that.
So a lot of people complain, like you said, a lot of people complained about his look. And while I like watching the trailers, I was a little concerned with his look, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised on how much I actually liked his portrayal of the character. he just seemed very menacing. Just that first bit of dialogue he gets, or I guess monologue really, where he's like in the cantina and he's talking about like how, oh, Jedi, we don't hunt Jedi. I would say the Jedi hunt themselves. And just like the way he talks and like his cadence and just the way he delivers those lines were very chilling to me. Like you could tell just from his voice alone, he hadn't really done anything menacing yet other than just be there. But he was very like his voice was menacing. Like you could tell from his voice that this was a guy you did not want to mess with.
Here's another thought. Maybe he loses one of his stomachs because we don't know how their stomachs are located, and that's why he loses so much weight. Because again,
Gastric
in
bypass.
this show, he's a big hefty guy.
A laser gastric bypass. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, and the character in Rebels was very slim and trim. So maybe he loses a lot of weight because he lost his second stomach or something. I don't know.
My thoughts. This is my theory. People, when they saw the trailer, were up in arms. Oh my gosh, they got it wrong. This show's gonna suck now because the guy doesn't look right. My theory is and I was like, I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. Okay, fine. If he doesn't look exactly like a cartoon character,
yeah,
I'm not.
That wasn't my problem with the cartoon character. I was looking for Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, but
when they're on Utapai or whatever that.
But also,
planet
what
was
I'm looking at too is, is it not feasible that there could be more than one Grand Inquisitor? I mean,
I don't see why not.
He dies, somebody else steps up and takes his spot. Everybody's complaining, "Oh my gosh, it's the Grand Inquisitor, and he looks awful." And it's like, well, he's dead now. Now you get your real one that's and love from Rebels that looks like an Utapai.
Wouldn't it be crazy if they like secretly got Jason Isaacs to play him? I would die.
Debbie loves that idea.
I do.
If you're watching,
I loved him in Star Trek Discovery, Captain Lorca, and he plays such a good evil guy. I mean, the Patriot and Malfoy.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
I would flip my lid if he popped up.
Say, let's not mention Harry Potter too much. I might go off on a tangent.
Okay. Very good. They get away then. They get away on a cargo freight. She tells Obi-Wan, she says, and this is where we get our line, Anakin Skywalker's still alive. Lord Vader's looking for you. And they get away, and she has a tantrum on the roof. Episode 3.
I nearly died at the end of episode 2 when they're on the freighter and he just kind of looks straight into the camera and he just like kind of whispers Anakin's name, and then it cuts to Anakin in the bacta tank, and like you see him starting to like put the pieces of the armor on us. I'm like, I like start hyperventilating. I'm like, oh my god, yes.
Well, also when she says Anakin Skywalker lives or whatever, and just the look of horror on Ben's face. Ewan is just so awesome. I mean, just that look of panic and like, what?
Oh yeah.
I thought he's been dead for the last 10 years, Yeah, or maybe he's like, is he really, or is she just making that up? Or I mean, there was just so much emotion in his face. And then when he says Anakin, I'm just like, ooh.
I was a little disappointed that she didn't say the famous like Vader line, search your feelings, it to be true or something. I was like, they could have gone with that, but it might have been a bit cliche at this point.
That would have been way too on the nose.
Yeah. So, episode 3, we make it to this mining planet that obviously the Empire has a presence in. And we get a lot more on this planet, we get a lot more character building between Obi-Wan and Leia again. There's a lot more shared here. He talks about her mother a lot more, and God help me, it never clicked until I saw it the second or third time again. For some reason, he's talking about Padme. He's not talking about
Yeah.
he's not talking about her current mother. He's talking
Mhm.
about mother. But this is where it gets interesting. He is telling her about mother. She is force sensitive. I think this is building to that line in Return of the Jedi where Luke says, "What do you know about your mother? You know, who was your mother? Do you remember her? Your real mother?" And she says, "Just images and feelings. You know, nothing really, just images and feelings." Everybody's looking at it going, "Well, she was like 2 hours old or 2 minutes old when mom died. So how is she going to have images and feelings?" But I think from stories from Ben, this is going to awaken feelings and images within her, and possibly even Ben may even tell her by the end of this, say, "Hey, your mother was Padme, and she was a senator from Naboo, and how easy would it be for Leia to go to the archives on Alderaan and look up everything she could about this senator from Naboo?" So
Or
she
possibly she might have gotten those last moments that Ben had with Padme. Maybe she got that flash of that image.
right.
She was sad. Because she was crying.
We also get the another opportunity for a missed line. They get on that truck. They're headed to the starport, and then she says, "This is my father." And what does he say? He says, "Hello."
Hello there.
Doggone it! I wanted the hello there. Where was that?
Hello there.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Not yet. Too soon.
Come on. Oh,
I don't know. I feel like Hello There, Obi-Wan Kenobi was very much, full of himself and, very confident and cocky and and this one is just like, just don't, just keep your head down. Like, don't draw attention to yourself.
Now,
Because it was very much like Leia's like, I'm gonna go and flag this random person down to give us a ride, and he's like, don't, please, God, what are you doing? Stop! Like, you're gonna get us killed.
I just love how spicy and feisty she is. I just love it.
Oh yeah, she's definitely a spitfire, and I really like. It's really showing, especially that like that opening scene from, maybe not opening scene, but like the scene in A New Hope when she's first interrogated by Vader and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We're on a diplomatic mission from Alderaan or whatever. And she's just very, very much, showing her ability to kind of smooth talk her way out of things. And also later on in A New Hope, when she's brought before Tarkin and they're looking at Alderaan and, it's about to be blown up, and she's still like, she says something along the lines of basically telling Tarkin that he stinks. It's like I could smell
your foul stench when on board.
Yeah, and it's like you definitely see some of that spitfire snarkiness in the Kenobi series, and I love it.
I also love the way they opened this episode because we get flashbacks and lines from the various movies or from the prequel. I like that too. That was some good stuff.
We also got to look at a little bit about Kenobi. He says something along when he's in the truck with Leia, and he's talking, and he says, Jedi are. He actually starts yakking about Jedi.
Yeah, that was another thing. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
Dude,
like, shut
that
up.
driver's right there. He can hear you.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. I was like, there's no way. There's no way that conversation just went.
And then like nobody's surprised when he stops at the checkpoint. He's like, "Hey, I think you should check this guy out."
Yeah.
Like,
so Obi-Wan mentions, he says, we're taking very young, blah, 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 Jedi. He said, I think I had a brother. I'm not for sure. I think I had a brother. Now, this is where this gets good, because this is one of my favorites. If you read Return of the Jedi, the novelization for Return of the Jedi, the scene where Obi-Wan is talking to Luke, at the end of, right before he goes, right after Yoda dies, he's talking to Luke, and he tells, Leia's your sister, your insight serves you well. That conversation goes on for another couple of paragraphs, and Obi-Wan tells Luke, hey, Owen Lars was not Anakin's uncle, or was not your uncle. Owen was my brother. And I was like, oh, okay.
That's actually a theory that I had, was like, I wonder if Owen and Obi-Wan or Owen and Ben are actually brothers. Like,
well, and something else too that's really interesting about this whole sordid state of affairs, and mind you, this is for people like me and Debbie. We grew up in a period between 1985 and 1991 where there was nothing Star Wars. We kind of had to make up our own theories and what's going to happen next, and is there anything going to happen next, and all this other stuff. But one of the theories floating around was, you had the line from A New Hope, yes, I fought in the Clone Wars with your father, and then you had Return of the Jedi, oh, he's my brother. Well, if you take the letter O and the number 1, what do you have? You have O1. If you take the letter O, the letter B, and the number 1, what do you have? OB1. So I always looked at it like, they are brothers, and oh my God, they're clones! That's the Clone Wars. That's where it came from. Oh, I was all kinds of excited about that. And then they make the prequel trilogies, and it's like, oh, well, no, Owen's dad married Beru, and technically they're stepbrothers. Oh. All right, fine, George, whatever.
Yeah, George Lucas came along like, well, actually.
But it would be interesting, yes, I agree, if it comes out, because that means that Anakin and Obi-Wan technically were brothers as well. Just a thought.
I don't see it.
You were my brother, Anakin. Anyway, I liked getting the knowledge of Kenobi's past. I enjoyed hearing, I've enjoyed hearing the human side of him versus the Jedi side of him. We've gotten
absolutely.
We've gotten a lot of and like my buddy said, why is he so defeated? And it's like, well, because he's a Jedi, but he's human. That's just what happens. So we get to the town. Actually, I want to say, when they got to that gate and they got everybody, and again, he didn't use his lightsaber, and that stormtrooper got cut in half.
Fell,
on the gate,
yeah.
it's just like, ho!
That was the most.
Yeah, Darth Maul.
I believe that was
Right.
like the most visceral death we've actually seen in a Star Wars thing. Because, like, even with Darth Maul getting cut in half, we don't actually see him get cut in half.
You just see the lightsaber swing, and he goes,
see,
and then he falls
then you
back,
just see
and then
his body
separates.
fall apart.
Yeah.
Down
Yeah,
the
But like
shaft.
this, there's no camera cutaway. It's literally, you just see this stormtrooper drop and just get cut in half on this gate. And I just remember thinking, like, yo, Star Wars has upped the viscera in this. And
this one earned the PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I seen that the first time around, I was like, "Oh shit!" God.
But then watch some book or comic or something is going to come out where we see like the upper half of that stormtrooper kind of twitch in the sand, then he rolls over and starts dragging himself away, and then he pulls a Darth Maul and just screams, "Kenobi!"
There was a line. One of my favorite Disney movies. If you got Disney Plus, I think it's on there. From George of the Jungle. People don't die; they just get really bad boo-boos. Just put a Band-Aid on it, rub some dirt in it, you'll be fine. Anyway, We also get the third sister again, and she's really stepping up her game as far as I want to be the Inquisitor. I want to be next in line.
Yeah, and I
your microphone turned off. We lost your microphone. Uh-oh.
No, it's been cutting out here and there throughout the show. While he's fixing that, I do want to say something about there's such a what's the word I'm looking for? The Inquisitors are not one big happy family.
They're very much like I mean, okay, you've got the Sith and the rule of two, but they kind of fall in the same, one to have the power and one to crave the power, and this is like, well, one has the power and then like however many else there to crave the power kind of thing, and take over and jump on. I mean, it's just an expanded.
Well, yeah, and these guys aren't they're not Sith.
No,
but it reminds me of Sith. The set of books. The only one I can think of is called The Tribe, and that's where they were Sith all over the place. I mean, they all lived on one planet, and they were all, out for each other and, betraying each other. This is what that reminded me of, is that Syndicate from the Cowboy. Never watched that.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it, John. I haven't watched that show.
But yeah, I mean, they're vying for, or they're just trying to maneuver, for a better position. And the fifth brother gets pissed off because, yeah, and I really want to know. I meant to try and look it up today, but I got slammed at work. But I was kind of wondering, is there anything out there that explains the hierarchy of,
who's ahead of the fifth brother and who's below
and how they get their rankings, like third sister,
I
fifth
haven't
brother?
seen anything. I haven't looked it up though either.
Because I'm like, well, if she's third, then how does he think he's next in line as if he's fifth? Isn't there 1, 2, 3, and 4 ahead of him? So but yeah, I haven't heard anything about how their organization works as far as, how they move up and how they get their names and whatnot.
Okay, Michael, give us your mic check again.
No. Dang it. What the hell?
I heard that.
Yeah, it cuts in and out, Mike.
It sounds like you're on now.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. I literally just unplugged it and plugged it back in. But what I was trying to say before my mic decided to crap out on me, was I really enjoyed that little bit of, not really banter, but just that short conversation that the third sister had with Vader, where he's kind of like boosting her ego a little bit, saying that, I know
what you want.
He's like, I know what you want, and if you do not fail me, I will make you the next Grand Inquisitor.
And see, this is where she got it right and Krennic got it wrong. Krennic was straight up and said, "Hey, am I still in charge? I'm still in control, right? I still have the power at this point." And he turns around and says, "Don't choke on your aspirations." And then you've got her to where she's kind of playing it cool, to where she's like, "I'm not gonna ask him, but if I can do this, and if I can do this right, he'll make it happen. He'll do it for me, because he'll owe me one," kind of thing.
Yeah. So
she's playing it a lot cooler than Krennic did. Poor Krennic did in Rogue One.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is going to kind of be a setup for some major downfall for her character, because like like you said, Vader was kind of boosting her ego a bit, but as he was doing it, all I could think about was the opening of Revenge of the Sith. Oh, good. Twice the pride, double the fall.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, too, I mean, let's think about this. Let's consider.
Also,
this.
that was an excellent Christopher Lee.
Oh, yes.
No, it wasn't. I don't know if your headphones are messed up or something, but I sounded more like Sloth from the Goonies than I did Christopher Lee.
Hey, you guys.
Twice the pride, double the fall.
Oh man.
So anyway, but I think you're right, Cam, because I mean, let's be honest about this. This sister has not appeared anywhere else past Kenobi. She wasn't in Rebels. She wasn't in Fallen Order. She hasn't been anywhere really. So
until somebody comes out with a fan theory that says she was in the background of some scene in like Empire Strikes Back or something.
Yeah. I am of the mind that she is, and I've come to terms with it. But I am of the mind that the final confrontation between her and Kenobi will be Episode 6, and Kenobi will dispatch her.
Or if the Grand Inquisitor comes back, if the Grand Inquisitor comes back, the original one, maybe he will take her out.
He will unalive her.
I could see that would be really cool to see. You know, a duel between the Grand Inquisitor and the third sister. We've never seen like legitimate dark side on dark side combat before. At least not in the films. And so that would be a very interesting angle to work there. I think if that's the route that they decide to go, I am all for it.
Stephanie says it sounds like Vader likes the Inquisitors squabbling amongst themselves, maybe because it stops them from turning on him instead.
That's my girl.
Makes perfect sense. Oh, and Grant, I saw your other comment here. I'll get to that in a minute. Jumping ahead of me. Although I will, yes, the artwork for Vader's castle is stunning. Vader's castle is amazing. And we got, for crying out loud, we got Darth Vader again. Not only did we get Darth Vader, we got Hayden Christensen in the suit Darth Vader. And not only did we get Darth Vader, not only did we get Hayden Christensen in the suit Darth Vader, James freaking Earl Jones.
Well,
back
and
as
also,
the voice.
And also, don't forget, we actually get a Hayden Christensen off in the distance mirage thing that he has as they're like walking through the wilderness or whatever. And I was just like, it's you can just barely tell that it's him, but you can tell that it's him. And I just had this moment watching that episode where I just went, ooh.
Yeah, I missed that the first time around, and then when I was watching it the second time around, I was like, because the first time around I was like, why is there some random dude standing out there in a Jedi robe? And then I watched it the second time, I was like, oh shit, that's Hayden. Duh.
Well, and I really hope that they do kind of like in Rebels, where when Ahsoka fights Vader, and she kind of like cuts off a piece of his mask or whatever, and you kind of see a bit of his like true face under there. Like, yeah, he's burnt up or whatever, but you can see it's Anakin. And I kind of really hope that they do something similar in this with the live action, simply because I feel like it'd be such a shame to have Hayden Christensen come in and not really get any face time.
Strictly being
I truly believe they're going to do some kind of flashback to a conversation during Clone Wars or in between one of the movies or something.
Because I feel like, because Hayden Christensen's got such an iconic look, and you know, as far as the Star Wars community is concerned anyway. And to me, it would make absolutely no sense to bring him back if we're not going to get his voice or how he looks, because to just have him in the suit and then have James Earl Jones, it'd be David Prowse all over again.
Yeah, it would be like, well, why did you bring Hayden back?
Exactly, like you could have gotten any old.
Yeah, you could have gotten a big, tall bodybuilder.
And even seeing him, even seeing him outside of the suit, at the end of the second episode. I mean, really, if I didn't know that was Hayden, that could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to for Obi-Wan, he's still thinking of him as Anakin. I mean, he doesn't know this Vader
He even says,
persona yet.
Yoda tells him, he says, Anakin is gone. Vader, he's been consumed by Vader. But even when they're fighting on Mustafar, he continues to call him Anakin. He doesn't bend to that. Oh, well, this isn't Anakin. But Anakin never corrects him either. Just saying.
That's true. And you notice something interesting they did throughout Revenge of the Sith in that final battle scene, whatever, between Anakin and Obi-Wan, was before Padme and Obi-Wan get there, you see him looking out, when he just kind of, after he's killed all of the separatist leaders, he kind of just goes out and stands out there and folds his arm and stares out into the lava, and he has those yellow Sith eyes. And then when Padme comes to land and he first starts interacting with them, those are gone. And so it was kind of interesting to me watching it and seeing just the way that it would shift, and how when he gets burned up and right before he makes the jump to try and beat the high ground, his eyes are that yellow color again. And so I think it's showing when he's really channeling the dark side of the Force, and it's kind of shown through his eyes like that, because they say the eyes are the window to the soul. So if the dark side is tainting who he is, could be shown through his eyes or whatever, the more he uses it.
I also kind of, my thinking is when his eyes go back and forth like that, that's that struggle he's still having between the good and the bad.
Right. That's kind of what I was trying to say. I
still
wasn't doing a very good job.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Sometimes.
But he's here to clarify things.
Yeah, man, sometimes.
Okay, so Vader shows up. There's the scene in the town, spaceport, whatever. Did anybody else notice that it got dark really fast in that town?
Yes.
Yeah,
It was like the middle of the day, and then the next thing you know, Vader lands and it's dark outside. Although
they were talking in that bunker for all of about 5 minutes, and they come back, and suddenly it's midnight.
Yeah.
But you know what? They had to have dramatic scenery for when Vader steps on and all you see is those lights. Maybe he clicks on his lightsaber. It's got to be dark. Yeah, you got to have it dark. The breathing, the haunting breathing, everything. Now this was. Here comes my other one. Obi-Wan and Leia go to this. They're in the underground railroad, if you will. And he says, "Oh, Quinlan was here." I was like, "Oh!" Luke was like, "Who?" I'm like, "Quinlan Voss! It's all over the Clone Wars." Oh. I was all
I'm looking for a cameo.
I want a cameo too.
I could see he would be, because Tala, the Imperial lady, said something about he helps with smuggling younglings.
Yeah.
And so I can totally see him coming in with a small cameo with him taking Leia back to Alderaan.
Or, we just see him with Grogu.
Maybe. No, but see, that there's that theory about how everybody, how did Grogu get out? And I still like to think that Anakin walked into the temple and he said, "Grogu, you never called me Annie. You can go. You always called me Anakin. My name. You didn't say Annie." Anyway,
I still think my favorite meme from the prequels is a picture of Sidious kneeling over Anakin on Mustafar, and it just saying, "Annie, are you okay? Are you okay,
You
Annie?"
Annie?
On the topic of Vader arriving in that town, I honestly but people hype up the ending scene from Rogue One, but honestly, his scene in that town really it tops that for me.
It was scary
That was
because
brutal.
you
It, it-
had
just that
Obi-Wan.
cold, silent brutality, like that
Yes.
Vader to me.
Oh yeah.
That was the frightening Vader. That was the, oh my God, how am I going to get out of this?
Yeah,
Oh.
that this is peak Vader. I mean, peak Vader. And all he's trying to do is draw Obi-Wan out. And so he's just picking random people off the street, breaking their necks, force choking them, and dragging a lady, and he's not even looking
He
at
comes
these
like this
people.
and he snaps that guy's, it just flips his head all the way around. I was like, oh.
I mean, he's not even looking at these people. He's just walking straight ahead, and he's just kind of looking side to side, looking to see if Obi-Wan's going to appear or not. And of course, well, before that happens, Obi-Wan has that panic attack or whatever it was. He gets that feeling, I think, from Anakin.
I think that was one of those things, and I think that's probably how Anakin knew he was there, and I kept hearkening back to that line in A New Hope. I've felt someone, a presence I've not felt, and I was like, oh, he feels him. He knows he's there. He may have cut himself off from the Force, but he knows he's there.
And again, brilliant acting from Ewan. I mean, holy shit.
And he finally draws his lightsaber.
Well, and one thing that what I liked about that scene with Vader, like you said, just snatching people off the street, is up until now, anytime we've seen Vader doing anything, there was an understandable reason behind it, like why he killed this person was because they were in direct opposition to him about something. These people were absolutely just random people that had nothing to do with the situation. And he was like, this is definitely where we see a much darker and crueler Vader, because, just seeing him, just random people, and just bringing them out for the sole purpose of he knows that Kenobi's not going to be able to resist saving people. And so he's just like, well, I'm just going to take this random person, drag them through the street. It's like, it got dark fast, both literally and thematically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly did, and I appreciate the scene for showing us that. But honestly, the meetup between the two of them really didn't do much for me.
I seen your post today, and I wanted to comment on that so bad. I was like, "Are you flipping kidding me?"
Yeah,
that was brutal.
I did comment on that.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm sure. I don't know. I don't know how to articulate why. It's just it just felt really forced to me. I felt like it took a lot of the importance away from their meeting in A New Hope. And that plus, I get that, Obi-Wan has grown weak in his, sedentary life and whatnot, but at the same time, that little skirmish that they had, I mean, I thought it just looked really, really bad. I don't know. I'm sure I'm in the minority. I'm sure that people are going to worship this scene for being what it is, but I felt nothing until the very end. Whenever Vader was dragging him through the fire and was cooking him.
Man.
I thought that was
revenge.
Incredible.
Yeah. So I can see where you're coming from with that. I really can. Here's what I got from it personally. I mean, maybe other people got different things from it, but this is what I saw. I saw a beaten Obi-Wan Kenobi who was forced to finally draw his lightsaber because he had no other choice. I saw a reluctant Obi-Wan starting to fight the person who he thought he killed 10 years ago and has just now found out that he's alive still. And also, just like you said, the sedentary lifestyle of him, his lightsabers were buried in this desert for 10 years, presumably. He hasn't picked up a lightsaber in, 10 years. And, I'm sure some people probably feel like, oh, it's like riding a bike, you never forget. And it's like, no, I feel like something like that you would lose pretty quickly if you didn't use it all the time.
That's why you have training.
Exactly.
You have lightsaber training.
Well, that and the fact that I don't, even in that moment, I still think Obi-Wan was still resisting using the Force.
Right.
Because Vader came up on him, and there's an interview with Ewan. He talks about this scene, and he's talking about, they say action, and I'm just, kind of running away or whatever. And then all of a sudden, Vader attacks, and this is like his first time seeing Vader, and he practically has a heart attack, and he is truly terrified because he's never faced him evidently on set either, because I'm sure when they practiced it was just Hayden. But yeah, that scene I thought was pretty good because he looked petrified.
Oh yeah.
And plus he was getting a major beat down.
One other thing I really liked about the whole sequence was the fact that they did this at night when it was really dark, and just the way the lightsabers shone in that darkness, like they were very vibrant colors to them. They did a really good job with showing off those colors and like showing how it's reflected in the ground and in their faces and stuff. And it was just, and like every time their lightsabers would connect, it would make like a brief like purplish color with the red and blue combining. And I just thought that the correction and all done very, very well.
It kind of reminded me Vader and Luke when they were in the carbon chamber. I mean, for the most part, that was a pretty dark scene, and all you see is them and the light reflecting off of them and other things. And
yeah,
it reminded me of that scene. It paralleled it.
Something they did that I thought was kind of clever was, if you're outside at night and there's no other light around you, if you're shining a bright light near your face, it's actually going to obstruct your vision. And so whenever he's looking around and he has his lightsaber up in front of his face, and you get those couple of first person view shots, all you see is the lightsaber. You can't see what's around it. And that's a pretty accurate representation of what having a bright light in front of your face in such a dark environment would do. That would be all that you can see. You can't see anything else around you. It's very obstructive. So it definitely kind of added to the overall fear factor of it.
It's very cool.
So my question, when Vader drags Obi-Wan through that fire, is he purposely preventing Obi-Wan from actually getting engulfed in flames? He just wants him to suffer?
I think he's playing with his food is what it is, because Vader absolutely 110% could have walked through those flames, grabbed Obi-Wan and walked away with him, but he allowed, I don't even remember her name, the girl and the droid. Yeah. He allowed them to come in and take him away, and he just kind of like turns and walks away, because I think, and I don't remember if I saw this in another video or if it was in a comment I saw, but somebody said that, for 10 years Vader has been looking, and he has been training every day for this fight, and he finally gets it, and it's a big disappointment because Obi-Wan has let himself go basically, and he's a lot weaker than he used to be, and he's just kind of like part of me like doesn't even want to kill him anymore. And so I think he's kind of letting him go to like let him live so that he knows that, and he's only keep coming back. And who knows, maybe it'll make Obi-Wan get serious about training for his training with his lightsaber again, and maybe it'll be more entertaining.
And another question I have is, because Third Sister makes this comment about he's been looking for you for a very long time. And it's like, how did Vader know? Well, that was a stupid question, I guess. I guess he just assumed Obi-Wan got away.
Well, I feel like, the Emperor would have been able to tell him, like, hey, we didn't get him.
Yeah.
And
But how would you know? I mean, you had troopers all over the place, and I mean,
I think
he could have been killed and nobody would have known about it.
Well, with all of the Imperial propaganda and stuff, I feel like if such a reputable Jedi as Obi-Wan Kenobi got killed by clone troopers, stormtroopers, whatever, I feel like word would have gotten around.
Yeah, that would have been front page news.
Yeah, because it's not like Obi-Wan was just a Jedi. I mean, and he wasn't even just a war hero either. He was one of the most esteemed Jedi in the Order. So, I mean, if Vader didn't hear about it, it didn't happen.
Right.
And I like the line when they first meet up, Ben's like, what have you become? And Vader's like, I am what you made me. And then the other great line John says here in the comments, now I will do to you what you done to me.
The most non-Darth Vader line that Darth Vader has ever said.
I just thought that the last part, the third act of that whole episode was just epic.
Well,
and I think it's going to get a lot nastier.
You got to remember, too, we're right in the middle of the series at this point. So based on the broader scale, this is where the heroes are in what seems to be an inescapable. This is Empire Strikes Back. This is the Empire Strikes Back. This is, oh my gosh, nobody won. Everybody lost, flying around and got my hand cut off and barely made it out of there with our skin kind of thing. But one thing I will say about this show, and one thing it's done, at least for me, and Solo did this so well, is this is a prequel movie. That this character, Obi-Wan Kenobi, is going to survive at least until A New Hope. But the intensity, and here you go, Grant, the music, everything added together, there are points where I'm like, okay, he's not going to get out of this one. There's just no way. And it's like, my mind doesn't click and say, hey, ding dong, he's going to be back later. He's going to be fine. Trust me, he's going to make it. And the same thing happened with Solo, like in Solo when they were doing the Kessel Run. I was just like on the edge of my seat going, oh, are they going to make it? Not thinking, wait a minute, Han and Chewie are on there. They're going to make it. That's the Millennium Falcon. They're going to make it because they're in a following movie. They're going to live.
Say, Millennium Falcon survives until episode, all the way through to episode 9. So, I mean,
it's fine. Everything's going to be fine. But my mind doesn't, I'm just like,
I'm still waiting for a follow-up. You have, Maul as the leader of the crime syndicate. And, that's the movie I want to see.
Yep. Solo 2, make it happen.
Right?
I want more.
Hear that, Filoni? Filoni and Favreau, we know you're watching. Solo Part 2. And make it a mini series. They are
bringing, what is it, a Kira comic book series?
She was in the War of the Bounty Hunters, and yes, now they are expanding her character arc in the comic books.
That's the movie I was so excited to see, was whatever they called it, Solo 2 or whatever. I wanted to see Maul leading Crimson Dawn and her being there and doing her thing. I really wanted to see that.
It wouldn't be Solo 2. It would be Duo. Solo, then
Uh,
duo. Or it would be duet.
That's a knee slapper.
That's my dad's Star Wars joke. The
Yeah,
sequel
boy.
to Solo, duo.
All right,
Okay.
well, I'm sorry, guys, but I got to get off of here.
I was
gotta.
gonna say we're closing up right now. If does anybody have anything else on Kenobi? The first 3 episodes. I think
So
we
the
have,
only thing
Cam,
that
if you gotta go, we'll see you.
the only thing. See ya, man.
Have a good one.
Yep.
The only thing that I was kind of like, that's not really like, I just as I'm watching, I'm just kind of like, that could have been done better. Was in like the very first episode when we first see like the giant manta ray thing that they're harvesting the meat from. I'm just like, that CGI just looks awful. Like they could have done a better job with that. Second time watching it, I was like, I guess it's not that bad.
It's a dead animal. It's a dead animal, Chewie.
Some kind of beached whale or
Yeah.
some kind of whale that like the the crate dragons that can travel under the sea or under the sand.
Under the sand.
Because it's some kind of fish. If you looked at that meat, that looked like fish meat, like salmon or something like that.
Yeah, like tuna or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Okay.
like my first watch through, I was very critical of it. I was just like, God, that they could have done a much better. Like this show's been, coming now for like the past 3 years, and like this is it made me scared for what the rest of the CGI was going to look like. But then on my second watch through, I was like, you literally see it for like 3 seconds, so it doesn't even matter. So they probably did skimp on it a little bit, but then like the rest of the CGI is fantastic. So
I don't think we'll see Liam. But
I would love that.
I want a Force Ghost. Give me
I
a
think
Force
that's going to
Ghost.
be episode 5 or 6.
Wait a minute.
Even if it's just like a voice cameo.
He's already been in it. He was in episode 1.
That doesn't count.
When they recapped
No.
That doesn't count.
I think
technically was in it too.
Technically speaking, a bit of a voice cameo from Liam Neeson in a sense. Use that clip of him saying like he is the chosen one or something like that when he's dying, and like Obi-Wan's kind of like hearing it in his head, like when he wakes up from the nightmares or something. But I want to hear like a legit, like just Liam, Obi-Wan, what have you done? You've strayed from the path, and
Well,
like,
obviously, at least the feeling I'm getting, because Yoda told Obi-Wan, I'm going to teach you how to, commune with your old master. And I'm kind of wondering, he hasn't been able to do it because we've seen him twice now try to connect and nothing. And I'm wondering if it's because he is so shut off from the Force. He's so depressed. He's just a beaten man that he can't do it. He can't make that connection. And I think maybe after this fight or this duel with Vader, something's going to click to where, okay, yeah, I need the Force back in my life. And maybe that's when, now that his mind is open, he's back open to the Force and everything.
And that's
he's
when
going to be able to make that connection with Qui-Gon.
I'd love
That's my prediction. That's my theory.
What I would love to see in episode 4, if they go and rescue Leia again from the third sister. Did we actually see her capture Leia? I don't think we did. I think it was just
Leia turned to run and
she chased after him. So I think after her. So it's kind of like assumed that she caught her, I think. So I feel like what would be cool to see is like if episode 4 is they get Leia back and then they finally get her back to Alderaan, and then the end of the episode or like the back half of it is recovering and he decides, hey, I need to go and see Yoda, and he goes off to Dagobah, and then like episode 5 is him reconnecting to the Force, and then episode 6 is him going and. I think that would be a really cool kind of story arc in a way.
I think it would be, but I've got this funny feeling that the capture and return of Leia is going to dominate the next 3 episodes. That I have a feeling this whole thing is going to be
It could.
is going to be returning Leia to Alderaan kind of thing.
It could be, and also it could be that like maybe Obi-Wan being shut off from the Force no longer is able to like sense Leia and where she might be, and he can't track her, so he goes to Yoda to reconnect, help him find Leia. That could be another way that it goes. I really feel like we may, at the very least, get some kind of communication with Yoda.
I also think the third sister is somehow going to find out about Luke.
Use that
I think
leverage
she
against
goes
Vader.
to Tatooine.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if she would use it against Vader, like to tell him, because Vader doesn't even find out that Luke is a Skywalker until like episode 5. So,
Well, I think she thinks about doing something, but then for some reason she realizes he's this is what I used to be like, and then decides not to. Either that, or she finds out and she has a plan to do that, and the Grand Inquisitor takes her out before she can do anything, or say anything for that fact.
So, all right, I'm calling it. It's 2 hours. 2 hours we've been going at this. Almost 2 hours. We're just shy of 2 hours. So next week we will be discussing episode 4 of Kenobi. Comes out next Wednesday. You get kind of a little break here now. So come back next week. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe. Like. Comment. We love seeing all of that stuff. Michael, it's been great having you on tonight.
oh, this has been a ton of fun. I've enjoyed myself immensely.
It's been a pleasure having you on. And like I said, Michael is from our GNN group. So if you want to get on there, drop me a line. I'm there. Look for David Fur. I'm right there. I'm there all the time. Debbie, it's been fun as always.
Of course.
Of course. All right. And like I said, next week, episode 4 of Kenobi. So y'all all have a good time, and may the Force be with you.